Constipation is troublesome and frequent. What can I do if I am affected? People don't like to talk about it, but we will do so anyway. Constipation is a frequent issue. I hear this almost every day from one of my patients. Constipation is defined as having no more than 3 bowel movements a week, but it's not primarily about the frequencies, but difficulty in emptying the bowel, usually associated with hardened feces. When you have to push and it's just a pain, and you spend a lot of time on the toilet. Constipation affects 10 to 20% of all people. In many cases, this has to do with the amount of drinking. People don't drink enough. There are also medications that promote constipation. These include painkillers, especially those made on opiate base. Iron pills can also lead to constipation. There is something important called the gastrocolic reflex. That is, when I eat something, when I fill my stomach, there is a reflex on the colon, which then calls for emptying, but that doesn't always work. There are people who have a bowel movement after almost every meal. This is the gastrocolic reflex. We have to take advantage of that when it comes to treating constipation. The first thing I recommend is to drink enough water. This is a big problem with many people. They drink too little. And then the mucous membranes in the colon dry out. As a result, the stool is dry. The function of the colon is, among other things, to return water to the body. And if there is not enough liquid left, the stool gets hard and empties poorly. In order to trigger the gastrocolic reflex, it is sufficient to get up in the morning and drink a glass of water right away. Just 2-3 deciliter of water. This can stimulate the colon for emptying. Further, you can support by adding some oil with your breakfast. Just add a tablespoon of olive oil or linseed oil to your breakfast, and this acts like a lubricant in the intestine. This has a supporting effect for a bowel movement. In third place, very important, you need enough fiber. Fiber is found only in indigestible foods, salad, vegetables, fruits, whole grain bread. If you do not eat enough fiber, the gut has no material to work with. The stool itself consists mostly of indigestible fibers from what you have eaten. Your foods like white bread and pasta contain no fiber. It is important that you eat enough fruits, salad, vegetables, so that these fibers fill the colon. If you don't like that so much, you can eat additional fiber in the form of flaxseed or psyllium. You can also buy products in the pharmacy, which consist fully of dietary fiber, which then swells in the intestines and then increases the amount of fibers in the stool. Because without a certain amount, there is no bowel movement. There is one more trick. If you're on the toilet and it does not work, and you have to press, try to bend the upper part of your body down as far as it will go, horizontally and back to sitting position. It's called a swing squat. Maybe do 10 times this movement with the whole upper body. This can also stimulate bowel movement. If that still does not help, you can add magnesium. You then need a magnesium citrate. You can get this in any drugstore and pharmacy, probably even in the supermarket. Magnesium citrate simply increase the dose until it becomes a laxative. This is often a good trick. And finally, you can take probiotics. Probiotics are intestinal bacteria because constipation also messes up the intestinal bacteria. Try a good probiotic with many different bacteria types, if possible 30 different ones. But this is a long-term effect. You won't have more bowel movements in the next day, but perhaps after a few weeks. But it helps when your intestinal bacteria are correctly positioned again. And finally, watch out with laxative products. They work, but the intestine gets used to them. You then eventually not live without them. These laxatives also rob very important nutrients. So these products have negative consequences in the long term. And finally, if you really want to completely empty your bowel, once and for all, castor oil might work. No, don't. That's just a joke.